Okay, welcome to episode 4, officially, of Pear in a Pod. My name is Guy, and I am a Pear in a Pod, and I have my battle buddy with me today, Sergeant Doug. And the reason why I call him Sergeant Doug is because every time he sees a squirrel, he loses track of something. But,
Wait, whoa, wait a minute. What? I'm sorry, what are we talking about?
yeah, see? Ready, and hold on, pause for the greatest sound in the world. There it goes. So, how you doing today?
Good. Am I in trouble for already finishing my energy drink? Or do I need to crack another?
Um, no, not at all. We just started talking, so you'll be fine, right? It won't be that long. It'll be fine. Listen, if you pass out, we'll just do a quick intermission, and then you can just get yourself another one.
Oh, I have horrible insomnia. I don't fall asleep. And it's not because of the energy
Did I
drink.
tell you that I mean, I don't know if I did this on purpose or not. I don't know if it was on purpose or accidentally on purpose, as I used to say when I was a kid. Um, Recently, I was home and I had nothing to do all day, and I didn't realize it, but my fridge only had energy drinks in it.
Nice.
So I drank three over the course of the day.
Is that supposed to be a large number?
And, well, for me it was. I've never drinking three in a day before.
Okay.
By the end of the night, my heart was like beating out of my chest and hurting. Like, it actually hurt a little bit. And the next day, I was like, I'm going to drink water. So the next day, I think I downed like almost a gallon of water and I felt much better.
Nice. I my heart rate's mid low 90s right now. Um, and I ran earlier and mowed the front lawn. Nope, 90. Just dropped down to 90. Anyways, I've already had three energy drinks today.
Really?
89. It's going down because I'm sitting down now.
Because I calm you down?
I mean, well, yeah.
So, Big Sarge, tell us, remind us, what is the op order of the day? Philosophy in pop culture?
Yeah, so there's a couple kind of ways we can go with that. But essentially, yeah, that's the broader category that we chose.
Let's stick to the
Philosophy and pop
broader let's
culture.
stick to the broader category. We don't need to go into
All right.
detail. But there is a topic you did mention, which is interesting. Probably one of my favorite topic of the ones you mentioned was, is there a villain that you root for or cheer for, and what does that say about you?
Yeah.
There's
So
only been two villains, and they're
okay,
two of the worst villains. There have only been two villains I've actually, well, three. Okay, there's been three.
okay.
Two,
I wrote a couple down. I'm wondering if they're on the list that I wrote down
okay,
for that
two of
category.
them are horrible, twisted, demented villains.
Okay, I'm liking where this is going.
All right, you know what? Let me start over. One of them is a twisted, demented villain. One of them, I kind of understood his point. And then the third one, I was like, this is a great idea. So the first one, all right. Do you want to go by fate? Do you want me to tell you what my favorite one is, which is the twisted, demented one?
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Okay, what do you think it is? Who do you think's the
Ooh.
most twisted, demented villain?
Oh, that could take a while. But let me say who I think you might be talking about. That might
Okay,
be a little bit fair. Okay.
it's not that hard if you know me.
Well, maybe Agent Smith.
No,
He's demented.
no. Actually, I wasn't even thinking about that. All I was thinking about was comics.
Oh,
Um,
comics. Okay, comics. Twisted dimension in the comic. Well, I was thinking you might have been talking about Thanos for the other one where you think you might have a point. But
Thanos is one of them. Thanos is
I
one of
figured,
them.
I figured Thanos, and that was the one I wrote down too. I figured that you would
Thanos
connect on
is
that one.
definitely one of them. Okay, so
You're not
all
thinking
right.
about
So go ahead. Go ahead. Which one do you
you're
think
not
is
thinking
the?
about Killmonger, are you?
No, no,
No.
never cheered it for him.
Um, um, all right. Just for the sake of continuing on, just spoil it. Who you talking about?
Joker.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, good pick. Good
Yeah,
pick. That's the other. That's the DC
yeah.
verse. Yeah,
Joker.
I can get behind that.
Joker is probably Joker's my favorite villain. And one of the
Yeah,
reasons why
I get
Joker is actually my favorite villain, and the only one I've been like I've been happy to see, and I've actually researched and stuff. At one point, I actually had a little bit of a Joker collection. Um,
okay.
is he's
Respect.
the most human, powerless villain in Marvel and DC, and he goes head to head with some of the most powerful good guys,
Right.
protagonists,
Let's call him
superheroes.
protagonist. Let's call him
Yeah.
protagonist.
So he
Right.
goes head to head with some of the
Good
strongest
point.
protagonists. So for him to be a human and do all that, that's incredible. If you're
Well, that's
talking
like, yeah,
about
more
like
Batman. A lot of his villains don't necessarily have superpowers, but yeah,
yes, yes,
he
Batman,
just doesn't have
Batman,
a
Batman
trait.
is one of the few DC heroes. Heroes, that's what they're called, heroes. Batman is one of the few DC heroes that does not fight against like deities. Well, not deities. Does not fight against supervillains or like people with like lots of power.
Super abled, I think, is the PC
Super
term.
able. Wow, super able. But if you're expanding it to like everything, if you're expanding it to everything, the thing about One Piece, there have been villains in One Piece I enjoy. The problem with One Piece, which is a manga anime, is that the writer himself has said that One Piece is not really supposed to have villains. It's supposed to show you different sides of justice, and you pick which side you like.
Oh,
So, like I
I
mean,
didn't
yeah,
know that.
there is like one bad guy that everybody's chasing, but in a way, he also has a certain form of justice and a certain form of living. And if you agree with his form of justice and you agree with his form of living, then he's not a bad guy. So that's what,
Perspective.
yeah. So that's one of the thing. But in terms of like other animes and mangas and stuff, like I can't like when I think of villains that I enjoy or villains that I like watching and stuff, nobody really comes to mind besides like Joker. The second one that I kind of agree with, and I don't really agree with him, but like I kind of every time, a couple of times I've seen him say the speech, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Is Lex Luthor, because
I was wondering if you were going to mention him.
one of the main reasons why Lex Luthor is a villain against Superman is he believes that no man should have that much power,
Fair.
right? And it's understandable, right? Because in a way,
No.
I mean, they have that what if. Well, DC calls it something else. I think they call it an alternate universe. But they have a universe where Superman lands in Russia, and because of that, like
Mm.
Russia ends up like taking over the world or something, right? So like, it's a valid point. Like, what would happen
If his values that he was taught were different.
exactly?
Yeah.
So it's kind of understandable, for Lex Luthor to be like, I want to take down Superman. Now there have been versions of Lex Luthor where he's like, oh, I want to rule the world, and I want to use other super villains to defeat
Storytelling.
Superman,
Storytelling.
right? So in that aspect is that, and then the third one,
Like,
yes,
dude,
is
imagine if I was born in Russia. Like, how they would have taken over the world by now, right? I
with
mean,
what?
Ukraine would have been done.
With what? With what? With you?
With
No,
my superpowers.
no. You're super annoyance. And then the third one, of course, is Thanos, because
Yeah. Okay.
as I don't want to say sad, as disturbing as some people might think this is, even if I was one of the people that died, I think that if you told me, hey, 50% of the world dies today, but because 50% of the world is going to die today, the other 50% is going to thrive for the next 250 years. I'd be like, okay, totally understandable. I mean, I think we're vastly overpopulated, anyways. But I would be like totally understandable. Like if you're telling me half of the world has to die for the other half to prosper, totally understandable.
Yeah, I get that. Disagree on that overpopulated point. That's a whole other discussion. But um, yeah, I totally get his thing. See, the best villains, so to speak, or antagonists, are the ones who have a point. Who, you know what, kind of aren't totally wrong.
Well,
You know?
it makes their cause more just.
Right, if they're the bad guy because they just got a chip in their shoulder and they're like, you know, they're just like, an asshole.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
then
yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
or if they're just like, I want to take over the world because I want to have all this power, like that's not really a just cause. But if they're
Yeah, yeah,
like, I want to take over the
yeah.
world because the governments are
It,
corrupt and blah blah
right,
blah blah, that's like,
and
okay,
everyone
you
gets cut.
understand it more.
Now, isn't that like kind of the whole, a lot of the man versus machine? That's a lot of the where those stories come from. The reason why the machines take over is because if humans left to their own devices, will use up all the resources, like a virus, as Agent Smith, the machine, said it,
Yeah,
right?
you see, the thing is, when you mention Agent Smith, the reason why I can't get on board with that is that to me, he's just like, it's just a machine. It's a computer program.
Like
You know what I
Jesus, all
mean?
right.
You know what I mean? Like
This could go another direction here. Let
because
me.
it's a computer program. It's not a living. It's not a living being. Like,
Okay, interesting, interesting. So let me ask you a question.
okay,
So if there were, now I don't believe, like I believe all the AI that we have and everything right now, that's really VI in my estimation, which is virtual intelligence. It's not real artificial intelligence.
okay.
So now that aside, um, in your estimation, if an entity is only different from you in all of its makeup because it was created using non-organic components, does that make it less than you, or in some way in a
If it
categorization
was
lower than you?
non-organic components.
So it's an android has like a brain that functions exactly the way yours does.
Well, it
It,
shouldn't. It shouldn't have the same rights then.
okay, interesting. It's self-aware. It can make its own
Nope.
choices. It
Should
can
it
even
shouldn't have the
feel.
same rights. Shouldn't have the same rights.
Interesting.
Same
See, I
thing.
disagree.
Same thing with animals. I don't think animals should have the same rights as humans.
Well, see, they aren't necessarily to the same level as we are. Not necessarily self. Now, there's some argument here with some of them, but not self-aware, not able of higher thought, not
But what if
capable
they
of
became
having.
able of higher thought? Then are you
Then,
telling? Then you're
me
telling me,
personally,
yeah. Then you would give them the same rights.
I would. Yeah. So, okay, so a little bit about my philosophy, and this is maybe extreme to a lot of people, but it's where I land. I truly think that all life is
But how do you
has
define
exactly.
life if now you're saying that something with
Oh yeah, no, I'll go deeper if you
non-organic
want.
components or compounds can be living?
I'll go deeper if you want. Like I
That's
actually
what
have
she
this.
said. I don't think you
I
can go deeper.
well, yeah, we're kind of at a wall there. Oh no, we're talking about no, but back to the original point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so no, legit. Like I've actually written this out before. This is my actual core philosophy. All life has incalculable intrinsic value. I believe all life is precious, whether it's organic, inorganic, less cast. Like I'll go out of my way to remove a bug from my home before killing it, which might sound weird because you know how much combat like training and everything I have. I am very able to end life, and I studied it my entire life. However, I I feel blessed that I've never been in a situation where I directly had to make that choice to end another individual's life. Now, I do believe that if computers were to get to the point where they had a full consciousness and were self-aware, that they should have rights like us. And if we had an insect or something like that that came to the level of consciousness, I believe it should have the same level of rights as well. Now, I'm not a super left-leaning, you know that,
Yes.
but I believe life is precious, and that goes to my core religious belief. And I could go deep on that, but that's kind of like just the surface level of my core philosophy there.
Okay, but just because all life is precious doesn't mean all life deserves the same opportunities, rights, and
I didn't say that.
privileges.
I didn't say that. I don't think an ant deserves the same rights we do. No, that's stupid.
Okay, so then why does a what did you call it? A fully aware, non-organic, living
Individual, I
entity.
think.
Living. Okay, so why does a self-aware, non-organic, living entity deserve to have the same rights as a full-blooded human.
Put yourself in its position.
I can't.
You're
I'm
well.
a
You
I'm a I'm a living entity. I can't pretend I'm not a living
let's,
entity.
well. See, here's the thing. That is a living entity.
Okay,
It has
I
thought.
can't pretend I am a non-organic living entity.
Okay. It has thoughts. It has its own internal monologue. It has its own self awareness. How is that? How does that make it? I mean, if
As
that,
as as I don't want to say low blow, as contradictory as this is to some of the things that I have said in my past,
Mhm.
I think being mortal, I think that because we're mortal, there's more rights and privileges that we should have because we don't have time.
So how about this? There's going to get a point if we don't kill ourselves first. There's going to be a point where someone is able to go ahead and transfer all of their consciousness
Yes,
onto.
completely. And
Right.
I'm actually in favor of it. I would love to do that for myself. But that doesn't
So you
mean
give up your rights.
yes.
No,
Well, because
really,
the only reason why I would want to do that is
you
so
would
that
allow
way.
yourself to be a piece of property and have no rights
Well,
by your own
the only
philosophy.
thing I would want to do, there's only two things I care about if I did that. If I was to do that, the only thing I would want
Hmm.
is to be able to study and consume as much multimedia as I can.
Okay, but what if your owner now says, "Nope, I need you to go
Well,
ahead and."
I wouldn't transfer my consciousness to a robot to be owned. I would transfer my consciousness to a robot to either.
But you have no rights. Somebody could purchase that, whatever you just put yourself into,
Well, I still have a choice of where I'm going to put myself into.
right? But after that, you get no more choices.
That depends. What if I transfer myself into something that's in my family?
Okay,
You
and
see
then
what
they
I'm
all
saying?
die.
So I'm not saying, "Hey, make
Well,
me
it's
a
not your
robot."
family anymore.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Your volume just changed there for a second.
No,
So,
no, I shifted.
oh,
I
okay.
shifted.
So
So
I mean, I'm not gonna say make me a robot so I can live forever. Like there would be certain parameters and circumstances and things. Like I'm not gonna say make me a robot so I can live forever. There would be certain things I would have to happen, be in place,
mhm.
and stuff like that, right? And even if I am a property, I could be a property of the Pear in a Pot estate. I could be a property of my family's estate. So that way, as a piece of property, I have to remain within the estate.
Okay, no, all valid, points and everything, but all I was doing was bringing up that to see if that, you could, hold,
It's
in
hard. No,
perspective
I
a little bit.
understand what you're saying, man. It's just hard.
Oh, I know.
Like even as far as, and I have nothing against people who dress up as animals. Even as far as like if one day by some reason or another something happened and there were animals who were literally walking on two legs, fully conscious, fully self-aware, fully everything. The only
Right.
difference between us and them is they would keep their animalistic lifespan. So they couldn't live like most dogs don't live past, 15 or 20. So they would still age as an animal, but they would be like, fully self-aware, what is it, bipedal? I think it's bipedal is the term. Walk on
Bipedal.
two legs or
I guess
bipedal.
right.
You know what I mean? Like if everything about them was humanistic except the fact that they aged.
Anthropomorphized.
What?
Anthropomorphized.
There you go. Except the fact that they aged like their animals. So like a turtle could live to be 300 years old, but a dog would only live to be, normal dog amount of years. Um, I
So I'm purposefully going to be antagonistic here with
okay.
some of my word choices, just for fun. So first of all, why are you being racist against legs, right? So number one, point two. What about a turtle? The 350 years.
I was talking about that. If you would not stare at the squirrel outside and listen. Uh, so no, what I mean is like if they know if Because if you're saying, oh, an animal's fully self-aware but they still walk on four legs, I think one of the features that divides us the most between that divides humans and animals the most is the fact that we walk on two legs and again bipedal, something like that. I
We're not the only bipedal creature on this planet.
I know that, but I'm saying it's because of our size, because of that, because of our
So
something
is a
thumbs. So
gorilla
something
more than
thumbs.
us?
Gorilla more than us.
Yeah, they're bigger than us and they're bipedal.
That's what I mean. If they were self-aware of everything, if they could speak, if all that stuff, if all of that was the same, but they aged like their animal instead if they aged like their species instead of aging like humans, I still think they shouldn't have the same rights. Even if a turtle lives through, well, one, they're still mortal, so I'd still classify them above. What did you say? Non-organic or inorganic?
Inorganic.
I would still classify them above inorganic life, but I would still
What if the machine
classify
was made out
them.
of organic compounds?
Yeah. What'd you say?
What if the machine was made out of inorganic compounds?
That's what I said. That would be a lower
I'm sorry,
classification.
organic. I'm sorry. What if the machine was made out of organic?
How would they be made? Like what? They would have a heart and they would have blood and they would have.
We're not that far from that technology, believe it or not.
Yes, we are. For them to have a heart, they could have a mechanical heart. I mean, depending on what you define heart as, an engine could be a heart.
We're with inside 50 years of being able to reproduce perfectly any human, any organic organ.
That's reproducing an organic organ. That's not putting it inside of a machine and making them live with that organic organ.
But we could create an entire anthropomorphized body made out of organics, make a human body, put a human brain in there, and then program it from a machine.
But then you're
Like put
programming it, so it's no longer organic. So it's not
okay, so
organic. But so
so
you're
the process
programming it.
okay. So the process when we teach a child how to walk, how to talk, how
You're
to
teaching them. You're not programming them. You're talking about programming a brain with literal code and other things.
so what was the actual definition of programming?
Now, I understand what you're saying in that aspect, but if you said take a human brain, put it in something, and not do anything with it, that's different than literally programming the brain. If you're
Okay.
sending code, if you're sending code through a brain to tell it how to behave, that I can't accept that as an organic brain. If
Okay.
you're inserting
So what
if
happens
you're in
if
if
somebody
you're
was born?
inserting code, that can't be. I can't accept that as an organic compound.
So what if somebody was born
Okay.
with a malfunctioning brain, some type of defect,
Okay.
and we have the technology to give them a fully functioning organic brain, but now they have this full body, and they would need something to bridge the gap so that that physical body knows how to react to that new organic brain. We
They're
would have
still
to
inorganic.
we would have to
They're
program
still
it by
inorganic.
your definition that you just
But
made. They
no,
would
they're
be
still
something.
inorganic. If you're taking somebody's brain and putting it in another person's body, that's inorganic. Actually, I think that's there's a movie about that with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's called like the next 7 days or the 7 days.
The
Might even
seventh day, and that was
the
about cloning.
what?
The seventh day, and that's about cloning. Or the sixth
Yes,
day.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
love that movie.
So, I didn't get it at first. It took me a while to understand it. But yeah, absolutely. Like if you could clone yourself over and over and over, your clones should not have the same rights. Now, I'm not saying there should be diminishing returns. I'm not saying, by clone number 50, you're a piece of property and people can do whatever they want to you because you can just be cloned. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you as a clone, if you could make a clone, if you had a clone, if you create a clone, the clone should not have the same rights as somebody who was just born from their mother's womb. Now, are people gonna do things to get around that? Absolutely 100%. But That, in my opinion, should be the law.
Okay. No, and that's cool. And I respect your position. I mean, I didn't know you were that big of an Arianist, but no, that's cool, man. Everybody,
An
live your life.
Arianist? An Arianist. Dude, I don't have blonde hair or blue eyes.
No, okay, no, seriously though, I get your point. I disagree, but
And listen, as my friend just said, it's okay to have an opinion. Yours just happens to be wrong. Isn't that
you're
a
right.
great line? Isn't that a
Yeah,
great line?
you're right.
But isn't that a
No,
your
it is.
opinion
Yeah.
is wrong? I know. But isn't that a great line? When he first said that to me, I was like, dude, you just killed this entire argument. I was like, that is and I've used that a couple of times, and people just go, like they don't know how do you it's hard to respond to that. Well, but and
Right.
because then you could just turn around and be like, yeah, you're right, your opinion is wrong. But that's not really a response. But
Right.
it's a great
It's
argument.
cyclical.
Yeah.
But no, I hear what you're saying.
So
My
go ahead.
fundamental disagreement though is because if any singular entity that's self-aware comes up and says, "Why do your choices matter more than mine?" I don't think there's any defensible answer to where that's right.
Well, what do you mean
And
by
so
choices?
when something
Because
has
because
the
if you're
ability,
if you're talking about voting, that's a completely separate. I'm talking
no, I'm
about
saying choice is about self-determination. When an organism, whether it's made out of carbon cyclodynes, the definition of, and I'm mispronouncing the word, but it's basically five carbon together. That's what
okay.
defines something as organic. It's organic chemistry. Anyways, whether they're made out of that or metal or silicone, if that entity and whether it's human by our current definition of it or an animal, whether when that entity is capable of self-determination and retrospective thought, so being self-aware and higher level orders of logic, basically at or above the level that we currently have, I don't think that there's any defensible position in which to say that their decisions about how they get to live are any less than our decisions about how we get to live, and it's nothing short of just another stage of kind of the slavery. All the people back
Well,
in the
when
day,
I say rights, I don't necessarily I
the
don't
people
necessarily
that were from Africa were less. And I'm not one of those like I'm not trying to bring it around that. I'm just saying literally, it's
yeah.
the same argument they were
But
using.
when I
And I
say
think that
rights, I don't necessarily mean like right to freedom or right to this or right to bear arms. I'm talking about more like right to vote, certain government benefits. I'm talking about
well,
those
the
rights. I'm
reason
not talking
why.
about like I'm not talking about you're a piece of property. That's why when you said, "Oh, if you become a robot, anybody can just buy you." That's not at all what I meant. I'm talking about more like
Okay,
right to vote,
okay,
right to and I'll be honest, there are some countries in the world today that don't give these rights to all of their citizens, right?
they don't. No,
So
they don't.
I'm talking about more of the 10 constitutional. I'm talking about more about the Bill of Rights. I'm not talking about your rights as a living being and freedom.
So you say that the Bill of Rights would apply to them or would not?
I don't know. I don't think all of those rights should apply to them. Now, I'm not saying none of them should, but I don't think all of them should.
Well, I guess I'll just hope when that day comes that you don't get to choose who actually gets to live or die.
But again, I'm not talking about live or die. You see,
It's a
again, I'm
slippery
not.
slope.
What?
It's a
Yeah,
slippery
I'm
slope.
talking more about. I'm talking more about vote, bear arms, government benefits. Um, I wouldn't say right to own property because I do believe they do have the right to own property. I do think if a non-organic living being owned a piece of land, it should be monitored or limited to what they could do with the land.
Okay.
Which I mean, in a way, you
But
know,
why?
there's also that. There's also you also have that as a citizen of your country, right? You can't buy a piece of land and then all of a sudden put up illegal things or do things on that land. But there are limits to what you can do on your land, and there are limits, and I believe that you know non-organic beings should also be limited to what they can do on the land, even more so.
Right. Oh, and I wanted to say that part of
Anamorphic,
close,
anamorphic.
anthropomorphized, and
Yes.
I'm saying it partially, not fully
So
correctly.
them, I mean, probably a little bit less. I mean, I wouldn't say I would trust them more, but I wouldn't be as worried with them owning land as much as a non-organic living being.
Right. And I want to be clear. Some of these things where I'm prodding at you, I'm doing purposely just to, get at
I
it. I'm
understand,
not
but
like
there's
that.
still things you need to be careful with what you say.
Right, right. Okay. Fair. But with that said, the next argument to kind of stoke the fire a little bit.
Well, you
Cool,
still haven't
totally.
said your villains.
Yeah, well, we've already gotten, we're riding this world to a totally different town right now.
We're on a different wave. We're on a different wave.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to say that the stoke that one more there right there. So let's say, yeah, we're good, and then you've created this stratified society, and everyone's cool with it, right? So now let's just say, and this is just for argument's sake, there are aliens out there, and then they come down and they look at us, and we basically have an intelligence level compared to them, like insects do compared to us, right? So what's to say that they say like, oh yeah, well they gave themselves rights, but that's cute. Whatever, we need this land for whatever. Does that make it right for them to now take away our rights because, to their views, we don't know what we're doing?
If they can conquer the world, then the world is theirs.
Wow. So you believe that strength,
That's not what I
rule
said.
by.
That is not what I said. I said if they can conquer the world, then the world is theirs.
So how's that different than if I want my neighbor's stuff? If I can just physically take it from them, it's mine.
Because you're not an alien.
Okay. So what if I go to a Mexican's house and if I'm stronger than them and I can just take it, that because I'll be an alien in their land. I know you were
But
telling me
you
this.
but you said an alien from another world. You didn't say an alien from
Okay,
another country.
so wait, hold on. So let's say we find aliens, and then we go to their home,
Okay.
their planet,
Okay.
and let's say we're at whatever level we need to be to get to their planet, and they're
Okay.
at the level we are at currently right now. It's cool
Okay.
if we just take their shit.
Yes. If you can conquer the world is yours.
I disagree.
If you were the superior being of the planet, then you make the decision of the planet. If you're the superior being, if you're
Whose
not the
side's the
superior
superior?
being, then you have to I don't want to say rely. I don't want to say depend either. I don't want to say cater. It's not cater. You have to accept it. If you're not the superior being, you're not the superior being. That's what I was saying
Capitulate.
earlier. That's why I was saying
Yeah.
earlier about the word that I couldn't say. That
The word that you're looking for, I think, is capitulate. You have to
maybe,
capitulate to your
maybe,
superior.
but yeah, if you're the superior being, then you're the superior being. I honestly believe that. Oh yes, but no, I was thinking about the bipedal or bipedal or
Bipedal.
whatever. Yeah, one of the
That
things
does
that
seem like an arbitrary classification, and honestly,
yeah,
but
but we are the superior being of Earth, right? We are the superior beings of Earth, right? And so we make the decision. If we're not the superior beings, if another superior being comes and takes over, take over. And I'll even go one higher. Everything I said earlier about the artificial intelligence and the animals, if they become the superior being and they're able, well, first of all, I don't think they ever would because the human species would rather be completely annihilated than be conquered and taken over and and
what if they
submit.
have the same? What if they have the same feeling?
What do you mean?
The continuation, the end point of what you're
Then
talking about,
we
they'd
well
rather be wiped out.
then we wipe them out. If they want to wipe us out and they want to be the superior beings, then they wipe us out and they become the superior beings. If we need to wipe them out to become the superior beings, then we wipe them out and become the superior beings. Now, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think I believe, and people could be like, "Oh, well, it's not going to be in your lifetime." I don't think that there will ever be a time where humans will live on another planet and beings from another planet would live on Earth. Like
Really?
ever, ever. I don't think that will ever happen. Ever, 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 ever.
So I'm gonna say with you're my buddy, and you know where I'm coming from with this, but I have to say with genuinely, I respect your position and respect your ability to say it and everything like that. However, I will say with just about every single position you had, I completely disagree with.
With what, the last couple of positions I had?
Well, pretty much everything you said.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that you would disagree with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
I think that being friends with somebody does not mean you have to agree with their
Oh no,
positions.
totally.
Yeah,
No, it's about mutual respect. Like I legit respect
exactly.
you, and
Yeah.
I respect your position. I see where you're coming from with it, but I do disagree with it. But see, I've always had and I don't want this to be taken as a knock at you. I think you know me well enough to know where I'm coming from with this. I have a heart for people. I mean, you see how I interact with people, right? I would literally sacrifice something for of myself for someone else. That's just who I am, right? Not that I think I'm less than anyone else. It's just that that's my choice to give up of myself for someone else, and I
Hmm.
would do that. But yeah, I also just have such I assign such a high value to all life and all creation. Um, that yeah, so it's just it's just a different perspective
Yeah,
than most people.
absolutely, absolutely, and I understand. I mean, I have a friend of mine where it's kind of funny because I've noticed in the last couple of years the way me and this friend talk have completely changed. When I was younger, I could like tell him my point of view, and he would just be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah." Like he would just agree, and I thought he was agreeing, and he had the same stance and opinion as I did. Well, I came to find out it's because he didn't really want to argue or talk about it. So in these last couple of years, I would tell him something, and I was like, "No," and he would be like, "No." He'd be like, "No, I disagree with that." I was like, "What do you mean you disagree with that?" And I mean, it hasn't changed our friendship. If anything, it's made it stronger.
Right.
Yeah. But now I see him in a different light because now I completely
Right.
understand that
Well,
like
I get that. There's a lot.
this isn't. He just didn't want to talk about it, right? We were in our 20s, and he didn't want to talk about some of these things. And now that we're in our 30s, he's like, "No, I want to stand up for this more." And this is, like
That's great.
I want you to know my opinion, and my opinion is this, this, and this, and I disagree with your opinion. I was like, "All right, cool."
Right. Yeah, I totally understand that. So, I mean, you've seen how I just like interact, and there's so many people like at our unit. Well, the unit that you were with, no, the previous unit. How would we say? I'm still in the unit. You're in a different unit. Whatever. You see how I interact with them. Most people would think that the way I interact with them, like I'm like at a higher level friend than I actually hold them. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just that the way I genuinely interact with people, so people will probably think I agree with them a lot more than I actually do. It's that I don't have the energy to go back and forth with every single person that I have a pleasant interaction with about everything that I disagree with them about. So, and that doesn't mean that I'll stop being friendly with them. There's
I
very
will
few.
say I have noticed you've definitely, I don't want to say pushed back, but you've definitely, I guess the term is pushback. You've definitely pushed back ever more since we started doing this podcast than I have ever seen you push back when we just talk freely offline and in person.
Oh yeah, because now you're. Oh, I'm echoing.
No, you're good.
Okay. Um, because now we're in a different kind of relationship. Now you're really asking for and looking for what my real opinions are. Before, and it's not that I, I know you'll get this. It wasn't that I was just like putting up a facade to be your friend before. It's just that that was
No, yeah, yeah,
mainly what
yeah. You didn't
location.
want to do controversy and the
Right.
location,
Mhm.
and like we've talked about. And I mean, I,
I'm a
I think
diplomat.
I think every military person has talked about this with somebody. When you're in uniform, your thought process is
Yeah.
different. You're kind of more aware of what you say. You don't want
Right.
to cause a
Especially in my
commotion.
position. In my
Yes,
position
yes,
especially.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I understand. I
Like,
understand.
like you're not necessarily talking to Sergeant Legros right now. You're talking to Rob, slightly different person.
Who can't fucking figure out Discord?
I can. It's just something new, dude. You know the level I'm at. Like I can build a
You,
computer
you,
from
you
the
you're,
ground up.
you know what you are. I can't tell you.
Are?
I can't tell you where I saw this. You are this thing that I heard on a YouTube video where the person said intelligent but slightly dumb.
So a buddy of mine one time described me as the smartest dumb guy he ever knew.
Because you are smart and you do say things and you're well articulated and stuff. But then I'm like, it's this like I've had one, two, three. I've had at least four computers and probably three different phones, and I've been able to transfer my accounts between them. I've been able to like do things between them, right? Transferring things and do all these things, and you can't remember. Oh, by the way, I also have. I think I have like four or five emails as well. So I have four or five different emails. I've had like six different electronic devices, and I've been able to transfer my stuff between them easily. You can't figure out how to open up Discord on your five screen, three rig computer.
Well, that no, I hear where you're coming from that, but that is actually just the perspective. If you want to actually look at it, this was only the a relatively short third, fourth time where we've actually gone here. The last time I tried to open it up on the my laptop, which is one set up with the multiple monitors primarily, and it had a it had the uh, I just needed to get the I'm forgetting the word, but the drivers. It had a drivers issue, so I just reverted back midway into the other my desktop where it was connected. So it wasn't I couldn't figure it out. It's that on the fly I didn't have the time to go ahead and figure out what the drivers were. And now you'll notice that I actually got mine up faster than you were able to get yours.
But you're
So
still not on Discord.
I'm on Discord. Oh no, this is Riverside. What are you on? Yeah,
Yeah,
it is
you're
Riverside.
still on Discord.
But I could. I used to run a D&D game on
I
it.
know,
So
I know.
okay, here's a little bit more about my philosophy that might kind of enlighten on that a little bit more too. Um, and I'm by no means comparing myself to Einstein. It's just the point that he was making. Okay, right. So there was this one time that Einstein was being interviewed about his theory, and the reporter asked him like, so what is the speed of light, anyways? And Einstein replied, I don't know. And in astonishment, they asked like, how could you not know something so essential to all of your theories? And this is where his genius shone through. His response was, I don't waste time memorizing information that can be easily and quickly looked up. I prefer to save all of my mind for much more important things, such as creativity. So I quickly try and okay. The way my mind works is very high level, like top level down, like kind of like satellite view, and that's where I
Okay.
get lost me when it kind of can seem dumb because the minutia and everything I forget to do it because I'm like high level creativity doing stuff. So like if I already learned how to do something, I won't bother. Like for example, when I was in college and I was doing calculus, I got like the highest grade in the class by like 10 point spread. I didn't even have a calculator for the first part of the thing, right? But the thing of it is, I couldn't tell you how to do an antiderivative right now. I'm not quite sure how it works.
Well, that's
Give
that's
me
called that's
five
called
minutes.
yeah, that's called learn and dump. That is
Right,
kind of normal.
right. So I mean, I just kind of like dump it, but within 5 minutes, refreshing. Oh yeah, because I used to be able to do antiderivatives like in my head, easy. So, and that's just an example of like a math thing, but I can do that across the board. So, I was using Discord before. I purged it because I didn't need to. Give me 5 minutes of actually sitting down with it, and I got it. Now I'll have it at an expert level. Part of the challenge is, and that you accurately described or picked up on there, I'm very squirrel you know, I'm very prone to the squirrel distraction,
I
right?
love how you're like,
So
I'm
I'm
very
gonna make
squirrely,
it
can't
five,
even
ten
think of the
minutes,
word because you're probably
right?
thinking of squirrel.
Right, exactly. So it only takes me 10 minutes to become a master of it again. But I'm not going to make it 2 minutes because I'm going to do like five other things in between that time. So, but if I actually sat down and focused on it for like 10 minutes, oh yeah, I got it. So that's just my defense on that one because yeah, and I get that, and it's an issue that I have, but I can't not think of the next 37 things. Like I'm thinking of like five different things right now.
Okay. All right. All right. All right, man. I understand you. I mean, you did mention that you had like 60 tabs open and you almost, I didn't say you cried, but you got very upset when you thought you lost all of them.
Yeah, I'm still pissed about that. I lost an entire window, one of my
That's
entire.
why, that's why, look, I think, a lot of people don't use this because it has very few extensions. I think the Brave browser, if you've ever heard of Brave, the
I've got, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 Brave browsers up as well.
and the Chromes,
Yes.
you are, you
I also
are,
have the Internet Explorer, so that's my
you,
priority.
wow, you are beyond.
That's not counting what I have on my other computer over
You
at the
are
same time. So that's
beyond.
not,
You are
yeah, dude.
beyond. You
You want to talk about what's on my phone too at the same time?
no,
Like how
no,
many windows I've opened on my
no.
phone?
I do have on my phone. I think I have like 70, just because like on my phone,
Well, you got me beat on that one.
on my phone Safari. Every time I need something new, I just open a new window, and
Yeah.
like I usually don't close
I
them. I
can,
really should go back and close all of them because I think I have windows open on there from like a year or two ago that I never looked at again.
yeah, I'm not that bad.
So so.
Not that bad on my phone. Not that bad on my phone. I have windows open on my computer that are probably
Oh yeah, yeah.
a year plus.
What I started doing is I just started putting everything on YouTube watch later, or I just started putting everything on bookmarks, but I really need to go through and like either delete them.
Structuring of how a government could work. Because I've got ideas on that
Okay.
that I think are interesting. I think are interesting, and I think what you're saying is interesting.
Well, I already started. I already pressed record.
Oh, cool. So we're starting off in interesting, which is good. So what you're listening to right now is interesting, interesting, interesting.
So,
Anyways,
so this is something I heard when I was back from commercial break. This is something I heard. I think middle. No, it wasn't middle school. It wasn't middle school. It was when I went to my special high school. So I heard it in high school.
you went to one of those too. Everyone always told me I was special.
Yeah, I went to a special high school. It was a elevated high school where we did college
Cool.
and high school at the same time. So I
Very cool.
graduated
Like
high
dual
school
enrollment almost.
a step above dual enrollment. It's actually a program that started in Florida, and there have been a couple of states that have been trying to do something similar. But
Very cool.
basically, I graduated high school with an AA degree. So
Very
at
cool.
18 years old, well, 18, 19 years old, I was basically a junior in college.
Very cool.
Yeah. A lot of us threw it away through either drinking or partying,
Well,
but
that's what you do when you're that age.
but at least it was a program. But anyways,
Right.
so I learned this in this program. While I was at the school, and the teacher, I said that it had been around for a while, and he talked about it before, and blah blah blah. So the idea is, instead of doing two presidential terms, and I think there are a couple of countries that do something like this. Instead of doing two presidential terms, every president gets one term, and it's a 6-year term. Now, the reason for that is because usually a president's first term is almost meaningless because he spends the first 1 to 2 years undoing what the last president did to try to make things his way. And then he spends the last 2 years preparing himself for reelection. So there's no time to see things through and to adjust and, do a before after effect, do to kind of assess things and see where things are going. Because by the time you're assessing things, you're up for reelection, and now you can't fix any of the programs. And that's also one of the reasons why he says a lot of programs only last one president, because a president starts it and then he's not able to adjust it, and then the next president comes in and just gets rid of it.
Yeah.
So one presidential term, 6 years. The reason for it is you spend 2 years undoing what the last president did and making things your way. Then you spend 1 to 2 years implementing, and then you can spend 1 to 2 years processing and seeing what happens, and then you're out of office, and the next president comes in and does whatever he or she wants. But we haven't had a female president, so I'll just keep on saying he.
There you go.
So
That, that,
so so that's the idea, and I think it's not a bad idea, right? Because I think it would make campaigns a lot better, right? I think it would make
how?
campaigns. How would it make campaigns better?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just interested in your
I
perspective.
think it would make campaigns better because even though whatever you did as a governor, senator, congressman can affect your campaign, whatever you did in your last presidential term won't have any effect because you don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Which is both a good and a bad thing,
So
right?
you're in effect, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're essentially saying is it almost would make it more honest.
Yeah, it would make it more honest, I
And it
guess.
would be because it would be just on, that it wouldn't be riding on
On
you
the
know
coattails, it wouldn't be riding on the coattails
the
of
coattails.
your first term, nor would it
Right.
be, oh well, this failed because the party before me failed, so because the party before me failed, I had to try to fix it, but it failed during my presidential term, so you guys are blaming me for this program that failed, but I wasn't the one that started the program.
Yeah.
So
I
be
mean,
so
you're still, I would argue, going to have a lot of that because there's still going to be things that you start going and
yeah,
then they just, yeah.
but but I think it would change campaigns. I think it would change a lot of things. Um, the other thing I thought it would change campaign for is nobody could ever like you once you win once, you're done. So that kind of shrinks the potential candidates. Because think about it this way, right? We said we're not going to name parties, so I'm not going to name parties.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to
So
keep this
so
completely
if
apolitical.
if somebody gets elected president,
Hmm.
right? They win the first term. Let's say they lose the second term. Like,
Okay.
right? Let's say they lose the re-election.
Right.
Well, now they're in the pool for the third time. Now they're in the pool for the third time, so now they can be elected that third time, right?
Right.
And it's a coincidence that this is literally happening right now, but then they could be elected that third
Well,
time,
no,
right? It is a
whether
coincidence
it's happening
because
right now,
because now,
it accentuates the,
yeah,
the issue.
because what happens is now the person who won that second election is now eligible to win in the fourth election. So now you have the
I don't
same.
think
So
that
now you
actually
have
can because we
similar
have to.
people running in elections back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, yeah. Although we would have to fact check that. I don't know if he actually can do a third term.
Well, no, I was talking about the
In
one
general,
before him.
I brought it back to actual. But yeah, if somebody does split 2 terms, I think the limit.
No,
It
the
gets
limit
down
is
to
2 terms. But what I mean is the
right. Okay,
person who's in that in between term can
be a
legally
placeholder.
can legally run run again. You see what I'm saying? So so basically, all right, we won't name names.
Wait, I feel that happened sometime, like when I was alive.
This is the second time we've ever had
Yeah, yeah,
three one-term presidents in a row. So one time, this is the second time. There was a
yeah.
time,
'Cause the incumbent usually wins, right?
yes,
But I feel I remember like not that far ago, because I'm not that old, where there was one president, then a different president, then that last president won, and
no,
then the other, and then they kind
no,
of
no,
leapfrogged. That's
no,
happened before, hasn't it?
no. Grover, because I actually looked into this because I mean, at this point we have to say, because when Trump did this, I looked into it. I was like, is this the first time this has ever happened? So that happened with Grover Cleveland. So Grover Cleveland
Okay,
won an
I
election.
thought somewhere else in history it had happened.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Grover Cleveland won an election, lost an election, won an election.
Okay. Cool.
So just
Okay.
like Trump won an election, lost an election,
Right.
won an election.
Well, and
That's that's
we're still not talking about him
yeah,
specifically. We're just talking about the
yeah.
idea, the
But
aspect of it.
basically, But basically, legally speaking, Biden could
Could run
run
again.
could run again. So
Yeah,
now
legally
you have
speaking.
legally speaking.
Yes.
So now you have Trump who's ran for 3 elections, Biden who's ran for 3 elections. So the pool of candidates is still the same pool of candidates, right?
You're right. Yeah.
So I feel that if you have one term, 6 years, or one term, even 5 years, right? Four is not enough. One term, 5 years, that person wins and can never run again.
It's an interesting idea.
That
But
person wins and can
here's
never
one
run
thing
again.
that, and I'm gonna widen this a little bit. But here's one of the challenges I find with the political system that we might have here, and hear me out, where
Are you talking about the
it gets
election
exhausted.
system?
No, 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 not the election. Just like the overall structuring of how the political, uh, not candidates, not incumbents, political appointees. The political appointees are structured, right? So
Now,
everyone always,
appointees, are you talking about cabinets?
no, appointees mean person who wins presidency, person who wins senatorship, person who
Okay,
wins
okay,
governorship,
all
right?
right.
Yeah, the different appointees to those positions, right? Some of the highest offices, they have like term limits and everything. And there's a whole thing about should there be term limits for lower and everything. But the bigger picture that I think a lot of people miss, and that I just want to throw out there, is everyone always focuses at the top. Not that the top isn't important, but honestly, in real reality, the political positions matter more and more to you as an individual, the indescript you, whoever is you, the lower you go. Like, for example, the political appointee that has the most direct effect on your life is your city councilman.
Well,
Legit.
that's why they say that. Well, I don't. I shouldn't say they. That's why it's been said that people who run for presidency do it more for fame than for anything
Right.
else,
It
because the
does.
true power, the Senate in a way has more power, and you
I
can
wouldn't say in
be
a way. It was designed to have more
yeah.
power.
So and you can and there's no term limit on Senate. I think there's been a couple of
Yeah,
senators
that's
that
a
have been
whole
there.
other discussion
Yeah,
right there.
I think
Yeah.
there's senators that have been there for either 30 or 40 years,
Oh, I believe it.
maybe even more. Um, but so
You have to be careful. We'll start stepping in some of those waters. That's
I know, but so they've been there for a very long time. So if you think about it, right, that's where, and I kind of understand the reasoning behind it, right? Continuation,
oh yeah,
contingency.
100%.
So I
There is
understand the
there is good argument
reasoning.
both sides.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
understand the reasoning behind not giving term limits on senators, but but then if you also think about it, I think the reason they don't have, I don't even know if there is term limits on mayors or how all that goes, but I think
Internet.
the reason for that too is because, like the military, somebody of a higher office can come in and kind of take over that lower office.
Yes and no. That's part of the beauty of our government. It's all checks and balances. Like the lower person can kind of take the higher person's power too. It's like it's kind of cyclical, all the checks and balances.
Yes, yes, yes. I just think that what you said earlier is true to an extent. How the person that has the most effect on you is your city councilman. I would argue that governor, I think governor and state senators would be number one. I would argue governor and state senators would be number one.
I get exactly where you're probably coming from with that argument, but let me counter argue this or
Okay.
pose. The stop sign at the end of your driveway that has that either would or would not have stopped the car from running over your child is
Okay,
arguably bigger
let's
by
not
much.
get that
Well,
visual.
okay, well I'm saying that because I have kids and
Okay,
they play
so
in the
the
street.
stop
They do
sign
the
at the
drive
end of
now.
the road that could have prevented an accident or a fatality.
Well, okay, but what I'm saying is like to make it real for me, like people speed down my road, and I've got my kids, my grandkids playing outside. It's terrifying. Okay, and the governor doesn't. Not that he would or would not. Whoever, I'm not saying the government who's right now. I'm just saying it's not the governor's job to do that. It
Yes,
doesn't matter who the government is. It doesn't matter who the president is. That stop sign that could be the difference between a car moving fast enough to cause
a
serious harm
fatality or a fatality. Yes.
of my child or grandchild is something that's directly done with my city councilman.
I
And that's
I understand that. I'm thinking more in terms of laws and everything else. That comes more from the governor. But the governor could also allocate or deallocate more funds to your
true.
city, allowing for more or less stop signs, cops, road work, and everything else. See, so in
Yeah,
that aspect, and of course, right,
it goes back to the checks and balances, but
yeah, and of course, something that we all know, everybody is passionate about the issue that they care about, right? So
yes,
you're very passionate about this because you have, what is it? You have a stock in it. You have a
yeah,
thing
yeah,
about it.
yeah. I'm a stakeholder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody else might not
Hmm.
care about these stop signs
Right, because
because
they don't have kids and they
because
don't
they don't
live
have
on
kids, or they have
or
medical.
live on a street
Oh yeah,
where
or they have medical issues and they care more about the medical aspect of the
right,
government and blah
right,
blah
and
blah,
that
right?
doesn't make them
No, no,
right
no,
or
absolutely
wrong. It
not.
doesn't make me
Absolutely
right
not.
or wrong.
Absolutely not. It's
Right.
just, but if you think about it, the
We only have so
medical,
much bandwidth
yeah,
with the
the
care about.
medical, but what I was saying with that medical person is, to them, the city council probably has almost no effect on them, and they're affected more by the state and the federal
Maybe.
government than they are by the city
Definitely.
government. Whereas
Definitely.
you are very affected by the city government because you have an issue that is in the jurisdiction of the
Right.
city, not
And,
the
right,
federal,
right.
not the
And I'm
state
bringing
or
that
the
up as an
federal.
example.
Yeah.
Like I'm not actually that butthurt about it. Like people don't drive. There's a few times where yeah, I've been that crazy guy. Slow down, right? The old guy, like
Yeah.
not much for teenagers, right? No, but it's not that big of an issue to me. I was just accentuating it because
I
it
will
is
I will
just
say this. I do remember when I was younger, they put a speed bump on the road that I won on this little side street that I grew up on,
yeah.
and I never understood it, and it completely changed the flow of traffic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
people, because we were next to a major road, so people would speed down our road,
Yeah.
instead of having to go and take the lights on at the major road. They would speed down our road, and that completely changed people driving down our roads
Oh,
and all that
100%.
stuff.
And it's important. And I will say, edit this if you want, but it's something that actually happened to me. So, well, not me. It happened in my family. And I won't get too graphic with this,
Okay,
but
then how about you say this off air?
well, it'll be fine. My father's brother's son was lost to somebody basically speeding. It was a drunk
Uh,
person.
isn't that just your
And,
cousin?
would that be my cousin? My father's? It was before I was around.
Okay,
So I'm thinking
I'm pretty sure
cousin.
it's your cousin.
Cousin.
Or
That would be
oh,
my cousin.
yeah, I'm pretty
He
sure it's
was,
your
he was a
cousin.
baby, and it was before I was born.
Okay,
But
so
a
older
drunk,
cousin. So older cousin.
older cousin, right, was actually run over by a drunk person. Kind of that same thing, speeding down like a pedestrian. It was like a suburban
Hmm.
uh, neighborhood, and yeah, ran over and killed him as a baby. Um,
Wow.
so it's a real thing that if there had been a stop sign probably wouldn't have stopped them because they were drunk, but speed bump,
It could have
that would
it could have decreased the
right,
velocity.
right,
I think I saw somebody get hit by a car once when I was really really young, and this was in Brazil. When I was really really young, I remember being at a party and one of the kids playing in the street, and this car just came, and it didn't like it bumped him. Like, it didn't like make him fly, but it definitely bumped him, and he definitely he was definitely bumped off his feet, right? Like, he
wow,
actually he
okay, so
actually
it was a
moved.
hit. It
Yeah,
was a hit.
it was a hit. It was a hit. It wasn't 20 miles an hour, but it was
It's scary.
yeah, and he was a kid. And like we had to take him inside, and the guy's like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and luckily no broken bones, no nothing like that. But it was an issue. It was definitely an issue.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's
So
reel
now
back
that we
into the
completely
thing.
brought the
Right.
entire mood
Let's
of the
go
episode,
back to right there. But let's get back to the last point that was on topic, which was the one
did
I
we
was
have a
bringing up.
topic?
We did. It was you were talking about the term limits, and
Okay.
and and then the slightly off talk, still on the still the same ballpark.
Uh huh.
I had just talked about lower level governments never being addressed, or not to be more.
Do they have? Do they have? Are you 100% sure they have term limits, or you think they have term
Well,
limits?
I looked it up. I haven't read it yet, but I have it on my other screen. I could read some of that right there. But before that, what I was just wanting to say is, everyone puts so much effort into talking to the highest offices. Perhaps more. My actual point was perhaps some of the conversation should go to some of the lower offices as well because they do have meaningful impacts on people's lives.
What do you mean by
That's my
talking
actual
to?
point. What was that?
What do you mean by talking to the highest offices versus talking to the highest office
Oh, so
or
like
lowest
most
offices?
when you're talking in in the realm of politicalness, or even politicality, or like even the structure in politics, everyone always starts off with presidency or like governorships, and then senators and congressmen, which are the top, right?
Hmm.
And in a delineating fashion as well. So you have the most talk about the president. Then you have the senators and congressmen are honestly barely even spoken of, even though they have immense power, right? And as you go down levels, people don't even talk about like, honestly, I couldn't even. But how many people would even say who their senator or congressman is? Who's your councilman?
Oh, no idea.
No idea.
No
No
idea.
idea, right? What's their voting like? You couldn't even tell what side of the aisle they stand on. You could guess by the color of your state, right?
Yeah.
But it would be a guess. It wouldn't be knowing, right? And that's kind of my point. We don't pay enough attention to these things. And yes, in those specific things like the medical thing that you brought up and everything, um, you know, it might be a higher offices where the most urgent thing in that person's life is definitely something a higher office would curtail to. But the larger point that I'm making is there's a lot that matters in our lives that depend on lower level offices that people give zero consideration to. It's not even an afterthought. It's a non-thought.
I think what it is I think it goes back to what I was saying that
The bandwidth, like there's only so much care you can give.
yes, and I think it's the fact that they feel that they're, and I mean they could be wrong, right? Maybe they're wrong as a person instead of the government. But I think that it's that they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to go talk to the city council. I'll just go talk to the senator, or
Oh,
this
well,
isn't
I'm
an
going to go
issue.
speak to the manager. It's like, let me speak to the
Exactly.
manager.
Yeah.
That
This isn't
mentality.
an issue
Everything
that my
is kind
city
of-
can fix. This is an issue that my senator has to fix. Or I'm just gonna write to the president because if
They're the
he if
higher
he knows
office.
about this, then he'll fix it and blah 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 blah.
Right. I mean, yeah.
So you know what I mean. So I think it's more because you're absolutely right. Like
I don't.
I've never known who my mayor is. I have no idea what the mayor looks like. I have no idea what party the
Uh,
mayor is.
uh, yeah.
I never knew any. I mean, maybe I got a flyer or two in my inbox telling me to
You might
vote,
recognize the name because you
but
saw it once.
yeah, but no idea, none of that.
Right. The only senator, and I won't say specifics here because I don't want to go down that road, but there's only one state senator who I know anything about. And that's because when I did have larger political aspirations, um, I actually did an internship with this. I wouldn't even use gender with this particular senator, and that so I actually got into the realm, and I actually had meetings with other senators and other politicians. And there was a period of time when I worked in D.C. and I was rubbing elbows with some of those people, and I was applying for positions to be aides, and so I actually got a political internship at one point. And the only reason why I even knew at that point who any of them were because I literally worked with them.
Yeah.
Because there was only so much bandwidth any of us have, and even someone who was in the trenches. I'm willing to bet a lot of these people who are senators or councilmen or congressmen or what have you don't even know. Look at us.
Well, what is it? Is it the how big is
The
Well,
hundreds.
the Senate is 100. How big
Well,
is
yeah,
the House of Representatives?
yeah,
Isn't it like 200 or
hundreds,
so?
multiple of. I don't know. It's massive, right? I mean,
Well,
think about it.
Yeah,
Our
the
unit,
Senate is only 100. I think the House of
right? Because it's
Representatives
super.
is either 2 or 300.
I was going to say my guess was going to be about three plus, like 325. My guess. See, I don't even know. And I've actually done a political internship and worked in DC. But yeah, I don't know. I had another point.
435.
Wow, we're both way off. Oh, that's what I say. Like our unit, when we're both at our unit has what like had it does like 350 people, right? How many of those people did you actually know?
Well, me, I'm a social butterfly. I know.
Well, me too. But
You're
you didn't know
absolutely
all of
you're
them. You
absolutely
did not
no,
know
no,
all
no.
of them.
Yeah, no, no. I made sure they all knew. I made sure they all knew me, but no, I didn't know
Oh,
all of
that's
them.
so embarrassing, dude. Because you know how much I'm like out there, like all the time. People come like, "Oh, hey, LeGros," and I'm like, "Hey, you." Just totally as a fake, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I have no idea who I'm talking to right now.
The thing that I used to mess up a lot, and I've called a couple of people the rank above and the rank below, is I can't remember the ranks. There's some people where like I know your section, but I don't know if you're the NCOIC. I don't know if you're a
Oh yeah,
specialist.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
if you're. Luckily for us, most of our specialists are very young, so it's easy to tell. But like, I don't know if you're a
In your
sergeant. I don't
unit
know if
or,
you're an
what are you
officer.
talking
I don't know if you're an NCO.
about?
Like,
Oh, well, we that unit we were both in is a special case. It's different.
yes, it
It's
is different. It
it's
definitely is different.
different. I
It
mean,
definitely is
they've
different.
been basically treated like specialists, and us as levels of sergeants, like almost like you know recruits. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Well, you
that's
know
a
what's
different.
interesting is in my current unit. I come into my current unit and I was like, yeah, this is a lower level unit because of my rank. This means I'm going to be higher up and blah, 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 right? And all this stuff. I come in and because the unit is brand new and it technically hasn't officially been stood up yet, right? I'm the
Yeah.
lowest ranking person in the unit.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
because right now all they have is mid-level officers and
Okay.
high-ranking NCOs. So
Okay.
because of that, I mean, there's nothing. Luckily, it's a unit. It's at a schoolhouse, so there's
Yeah.
no like go take out the trash or go mow the
Oh yeah.
lawn or any. There's none of
Well,
that stuff.
positions like this ruin. I'm not even gonna say soldiers. Ruin troops because it happens in every branch, right? Like, so this past mission we went on. I actually they didn't have someone in my position at one of the lower level units, and because it was a testing, right? So my boss that I was working with had extra of me's to give to give out. So he was like, "You get one, you get one." Everybody like Oprah, right? So he sent me to a lower level. I think it was a battalion, right? And it's just interesting because I've spent so much time, I guess, up there in the clouds. They like literally thought, like literally referred to me as a unicorn, like in conversations. Like this is a little bit weird. You guys are talking about me like I'm coming from like on high, like
But
literally.
why would you be? Because you're from a higher level unit.
Yes. And I actually knew the job too, which is another thing.
I
They
think
didn't
I,
say
I think that's the unicorn part. The fact that you actually knew your job and you actually knew what to
maybe that might
do,
have been a good
and
question. Hey,
you weren't just hiding that MOS trying to get
that
away
might
from
have been
doing
it.
stuff.
Right, right. But anyways, something that really accentuates that too is like where I was ruined by because I've had super high positions. I mean, people like brag about like, oh, I got a 1 star coin, I got a 2 star coin, which is wicked cool. Dude, I have 5 coins that are 4 star or above.
No,
Literally have the joint chiefs coin.
no, really?
I do. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, dude.
No, I don't. Well, because I got a 3 star. You know what's funny is I have a 1 and a 3. I don't have a 2.
I have the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the commandant of the Marine Corps. I have the undersecretary of the Navy. I have, oh God, I have the Speaker of the House coin, like
How do
legit.
you get that one?
We'll have to talk about it off air. Anyways,
but yeah, but I have a 1 and a 3 star, and
I was given a 1 star at this thing, which I
yeah.
took was really cool, but I felt bad because it meant so much to everybody, and literally it's like one of my lowest coins.
Well, when I was leaving my our prior unit, I was really
Mhm.
hoping that
They should have coined you.
they did,
Oh, they did. Good.
but the problem is they coined me like 4 months before, and the coin I got
Okay.
4 months before, they over ordered, right? So they were
Right.
using some old batches, and the
Uh-oh.
coin I got 4 months before was a lot better than the new coin I got. So I took the new coin and I just like threw it in my coin shelf, and I was like, yeah, I'm not like this is cool, thank you and all, but I just threw it in my coin shelf. But
Funny.
yeah, I have one, two. I think I have 4 1 stars from. Well, I have
That's
four
pretty
run
cool.
stars, but I think two of them.
Are from our unit.
Yeah,
Okay. Does that count? Like, I mean,
I
their
mean,
office
yeah,
is
it does because
literally a
because they're, 'cause
five-minute walk
they're
from
they're
my
different.
office.
They're different coins. The cool thing is,
Like, I could yell, and the general could hear me from my office.
I was told that because I'm helping design the coin for the new unit. Well, because I'm helping design the coin for the new unit and I'm one of the first people in the unit, they want to give all of us a coin so that way we have it because it's the first
Oh, no,
coin.
that's cool. Yeah, legit. That's how it should
So I
happen.
mean,
Well,
it's
let me
only
finish the story though. Like where we say, like where I was spoiled just because I've only been around rank, right? So I went and I was talking to them like, okay, so I was looking and everyone to me was like super low rank because it's my perspective, and I made the stupid mistake. I don't always say the right thing. I was like, is there any actual brass here? And like the response goes, oh yeah, they're all over there on the top. And I looked over, it's like a singular CSM, a singular lieutenant colonel,
Oh, we
and a
well,
lieutenant and a
be
captain.
dude, being in our old unit, being in the
I
unit we
was
were,
like, that's not brass.
being in the unit we were in, it completely
Destroyed.
it
Yeah,
completely destroys you,
yeah.
because now
No concept of rank.
yeah, because like I walk up to the majors in my new unit and I talk to them like they're captains. I talk to them like they're
I
captains,
mean,
I talk to them like they're captains and lieutenants, because to me a major is nothing big. I walk into I have a DCO, even though he is very stern, and me and him we do have a good relation, but I'll just walk into the DCO office and be like, hey sir, and whereas most people,
yeah.
I mean, as an E6 I should be comfortable talking to a lieutenant colonel
Oh, right,
as
right.
an E6, but
Almost
but
overly comfortable. Like I have to catch
yeah,
myself.
yeah, but some people they're not. But I think because we've been in those positions and we've seen and talked to colonels and lieutenant colonels
Right,
and
right.
even a little bit of the general day in and day out over and over and over and over. Dude, when we
I've heard, especially in my position, which is even more unique. I get to know the personal stuff. Like,
exactly.
like when the commanders of like higher rank, they come to me with tears in their eyes. So it's a different.
It is.
It's
So,
a little
well,
bit different too.
while we
But
were on deployment, you don't know this, well, because unfortunately you couldn't deploy. But while we
yeah,
were on deployment, there came a point in the deployment where there was a senior meeting, and they told us, and then the seniors told us, and they're like, "You guys are getting too comfortable with the seniors." Because
yeah,
we were working around the lieutenant colonel so much that when we would see a lieutenant colonel outside of our area, we would
yeah.
just treat them as if they were a lieutenant colonel in our area.
I've had to
And
catch myself saying like man or bro to
yeah.
like
Oh,
yeah to
there's a
like
lieutenant
majors.
colonel. There's a lieutenant colonel that got mad at me, and I was like, I can't believe, I can't. I shouldn't say that. There's a person who got mad at me because we were
What's his
having a
real name?
personal conversation. He
Hmm.
told me all these things. He gave me some personal growth advice. I took
Okay.
all of it, and the next day I was like, I started the conversation off with sir. Called him sir by his rank and all that stuff. And then at
Right.
the end I was like, and also I want to thank you for talking to me man to man. I appreciate that. Right? I think I said I appreciate that man or I appreciate that bro or something like that. And he got mad at me the next day. I was like, really? I was
Hmm.
like, so you talk to me man to man and you give me this advice, like a personal growth advice, and then
Some
you get
people can't
mad
handle
because
humility,
because I
but
told you I appreciate that. And I didn't appreciate that only as a soldier. Like I appreciate that as a man. Like as a
Right.
man, I appreciate that. And you got upset at me because said I appreciate that as a man, or I appreciate that.
Well, that sounds like a him problem.
It truly was. It truly
Or her.
was, and
Whatever.
it was. Well, it obviously was a him if I said man, but
Right, right. You did say sir. So. We're trying to keep things as unspecific as possible because we do work with rank and stuff like that.
so
But
but
the other thing is too, we know how to have the military bearing. But like after I do the initial, because that is my thing, because that was like beat into me from the
yeah.
Marine Corps, right? But I'm so comfortable. Like I'll give another example at this mission we were at. This is a quick one. They pulled me before because I was Advon, so I was doing gate guard for a little bit. And one of the generals that I'd never met before came through. But you know me, and then we get into a conversation right there, and it was just like whatever because he was actually ended up. I found out that he was in Iraq the same time I was back in
Isn't
03,
that
04.
crazy?
Right.
I've actually had that conversation with somebody recently where they were deployed to Kuwait. Like they literally left Kuwait the month I arrived, and
That's crazy.
I was like, yeah, and we were talking
Yeah,
about it
it's
for a
a
little bit. It
small
was
world,
crazy.
right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was talking to this general like that, and he was telling me his person was like when he was a captain, and he's like, sweat. He was like, yeah, they called us the fuck squad and all this. This is the general talking to me, and at the end, I didn't even think about it. I reached up and I gave him daps. I'm like, all right, sir, and then. It wasn't a second thought, but he was totally cool with it. And then his aide, who's like a major, a major or a
It
captain,
was either
was
captain
waiting
or a
for
major.
me
Yeah,
to
that
finish.
sounds about right.
Yeah, yeah. She was waiting for me to finish, and then she's like, "All right, so they're waiting for you in this right here, right here." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't mean to hold you up, sir, right here." And then I rendered the salute, snapped the full attention, gave him the salute and all that. But yeah, and it was just like I didn't even. It was just such a natural for me. I didn't know that one of the OCs was watching me. And he came to me afterwards and was like, "Yeah, well, I'm going to put that. I saw you had because that unit that I was helping out was being graded. I had no idea, so they got graded on their etiquette and everything on me. He's like, "Yeah, well, I'm going to put in my notation here. You had a great rapport with the general. You followed all procedures and everything, And he didn't say anything, but I realized after, like, well, I was just being me, right? And
Yeah,
if
you got
anything,
to
I
be
was
careful because if the unit's being
right.
graded based on etiquette and you're not part of the unit,
Right.
that's a
Well,
big
that
one.
was that wasn't on me. That was on them because they just put me there, and it was a happenstance. The OC just happened to show up right before the general showed up. But I mean, honestly, I probably handled it a lot better than one of their I mean,
There are other
that
people. There are other
very.
people. There are other people of the same rank as you.
I'm anomalous at my rank. That's fair
Yeah.
to say. So.
Anyways, I think it's been long enough. It hasn't been it hasn't been our the time that we want, but I think it's been long enough. We're a little winded with everything that's happened today and all that, and
Yes.
right before a long
I
weekend.
think we did good though. We didn't
We
step on
did.
any crack
We did.
wires. We,
We did. We're getting better. It's very small steps. Very small steps. But we are getting better. But Sarge,
yeah.
since it is your job, what is the op order looking like? What's our next op order?
Ooh, what are some other things we can talk about here? Okay, I will try and keep it. I'll try and follow what you
Okay.
said.
Pick one. Don't tell me the options. Pick one. That will
Ooh,
be our op order. And if we
we're
have
gonna
to
talk about
frago
that
or
here.
do something else, we will. But pick one. That's your duty. That's your assignment.
Ooh,
Pick one. What's the op order?
we already did that. We kind of actually touched on one of these. I wouldn't be too much of a subject. Okay, let's try and go with redemption arcs. Okay, that's a cool one. We can talk about redemption arcs in general, like in not
Okay,
pop culture.
redemption arcs. Got it.
Redemption arcs. Yeah,
All right.
redemption arcs. The story of
Our
redemption arcs.
next op order is going to be about redemption arcs. In what
Yeah, redemption arcs.
context, we don't know. Maybe it could be real life. Maybe it can be fictional. But we'll talk about
Fair. We'll keep
redemption
it very
arcs.
broad. Yeah, redemption arcs. Cool. There we go.
All right. Well, my name is Guy. This is Sergeant Doug, and this is Pear in the Pod. Have a good night.